Hello, welcome back. So we are starting off with a 20-ounce skinny from Craft Haven. Now I am using the new Colorflex. I'm still trying to get used to the name, but it's like a glue and paint in one. And so I decided that I wanted to, see, Colorflex. And then this is like a blue something sky or something like that. Anyways, I'll have everything listed down below. But it's a glue and a paint. So you can use it to base coat your tumbler, and then you can also use it as it does have an adhesive in it as well. So I was going for a silvery look, and so I thought that this blue would bring out that it would be a good enough, a close enough, I guess, maybe color to the silver, and it had the adhesive in it. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. And the glitter I was using was silver, so I think it turned out pretty well. You can tell it has a little bit of a hint of kind of a bluish purple tinge to it, but it does look very silver. But that's what happens when you do a little bit of experimenting and you just kind of try things out for the first time, and then you know for the next time. So as you can see, I am using a makeup brush, and I have found in my experience of using this before that this is a better brush to use. You get much more coverage with this, and instead of using another type of brush, I don't know if it just doesn't absorb as much paint or if it just allows more paint to go on there. I'm not sure why, but it is a lot better than the paintbrush that I used before. I will say the working time on this paint / glue, whatever, is not really that long, so I wouldn't do much more of other than just like a straight total glitter of a cup, because I don't know that you would have enough time to do like an ombre or something if you were wanting to do something like that. So it does dry probably within about 30 minutes or so, but I would say your work time is pretty fast. So I mean, enough to where you could put glitter on there, but it's not going to last forever. So if you need to do something like if you wanted to use it to paint it, that would be, you could do that as well. But if you wanted to do anything more of like an ombre or a more intricate design with multiple glitters, I would definitely say the epoxy method would probably be better. But it does give you some really good coverage, and it does hold the glitter, so that does work for you. And this is Coachella from PDB, and it just has that silvery holographic look to it that I was really looking for, that just had that beautiful shine and everything. So I just took it off and dipped it in the bottom there. We were going to be doing a peekaboo for this, so it wasn't like it was going to be standing out. So sometimes I'll, just get as much coverage as I can get and then move on. So right after I got done putting the Coachella on, I went in with, I believe it's called Adore. It's from SOC Glitters. It was in one of her boxes for January, I think. Anyways, it's available on her site. I will put the link down below, but it is a beautiful silvery pink to blue kind of shift color, and so I thought it would really add something to this, and I'm just trying to fill in any spots that may or may not have been left open, and just add a little bit more sparkle to it. So that's it. That's the only reason I was doing this, just kind of like if you're doing the epoxy method with a chunky, then you go in with a fine. I was just kind of doing the same thing. So once that dried, I went in with the Colorflex glitter glue. Now, I really like this as a sealant. I need to get used to using it as an application for the glitter, because I'm so used to using the epoxy method that I'm just trying to get used to all these different types of things. But as far as a sealer, I think this is fantastic. So it gave me great coverage. It was no glitter movement whatsoever, and definitely helped with the application of the epoxy. Like I always say, that if you seal the glitter, the epoxy just goes on a heck of a lot better, and you're not using so much epoxy in order to cover up, all the divots and things like that happen when you don't seal your glitter. So it just takes, a few swipes down the cup, and then you're good to go. And I probably would let it dry for probably about 2 hours. I don't know that it takes 2 hours, but just to make sure, because if you don't, you will definitely get bubbles and white stuff in your epoxy, and you don't want that. So just make sure that you're giving it a good enough time to fully dry. So now that that's dried, I'm going in with my very first coat of Artistry epoxy, and this is going to be my first coat, and then I will go into a second coat. I will just go straight into a second coat. It just makes it so much easier to sand, a little less sanding, a little less filing, and just gives you just a perfect, even surface that you can do some sanding, get it ready for your Peekaboo or your decals or whatever you're using. But I put probably 15 to 20 ounces. The first layer of epoxy is always a bit more, because you're covering, it's raw glitter and that kind of thing. Then when you go into that second coat, you don't have to use nearly as much. But I always find myself using a lot more epoxy on that first go round on something like this. But isn't that glitter so beautiful? Anyways, I just was staring at it while I was talking. So first coat, go right into a second coat. Once that cures for maybe about 12 hours, you can go into a second coat, and then we go into the rest of the process. So now that our 2 coats have cured, we are going in with a Peekaboo. Well, this is a removable vinyl, and I think these Leopard spots are already uploaded into my group, but if they're not, I will upload them in there. But they are just a basic Leopard, and I was just checking to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I was weeding through the little spots there and getting ready to put my transfer paper on and all of that. And this is why I put these things in here, folks, because we all have our days with products, and I have had so many days lately that I'm like, I don't know if I just need to throw my Cricut and all the supplies away and then just like start over from scratch with something else. But I've had some doozies of days. As you can see here, when I peeled off all of the leopard spots, all of the paper stayed on the back of the spots. So I had to sit there and peel up every little piece of paper that was on these spots. So, like I said, I put these in here because I want y'all to know that no matter where you are in life, no matter how successful you are, no matter how many days and years you have done this, everybody has these types of days that they have to peel off every piece of paper backing from their leopard spots. And so, anyways, we'll move on from here, and I'm done. So I finally got all the paper off. As you can see, the ones in the middle I didn't bother with, but I just needed them off of the spots so that I could put them on the cup. So this was a skinny, which is the original Craft Haven. So it was not straight, but I was perfectly fine with it not being straight. I always try to use the non-straight ones when I can get away with it, when I don't need to have a straight, because something like this, I'm just putting spots on. I was just, wherever the spots go, that's where they were going to go. And so I kind of cut, because it was getting a little bit off-centered because of the taper of the cup. So I just cut what I could off, and then I just started over and keeping it straight. And then I just went, through the rest of the spots. And I mean, you could place them all on there on your own, but I was just trying to save a little bit of time after I had to pick off every single little piece of paper on the back. So anyways, that's why I did it. I did add a few more that were just kind of like little stragglers on the thing there, and I had to move some around just to, make it kind of fit just right. So, it's like I said, you can put them all on by hand, but after spending an hour peeling off paper, I thought I would just throw them on there with the transfer tape. So then I took it outside and spray painted it white. We've had some crazy, weird, warm, cold, rainy weather. And so, I mean, legit, I just took it outside and spray painted it white with a white spray paint. And that's all you have to do. You just want to take it very, very slow and easy when you spray paint it, because you cannot have drips on this particular layer. So I'm just like shaking it, and then I spray a little bit, and then I shake it some more just to make sure that I'm keeping the paint, mixed, and so that it doesn't get really whatever, drippy or paint, whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. So then I took my really nice sharp tweezers that I have, and I went very carefully around the entire tumbler and was peeling off every bit of those spots to reveal our beautiful glitter underneath. So right now it is sanded. I've sanded the rim. I've sanded all over the cup, everything. And then I put the removable spots on there, and then I took it outside, I painted it, and now I am removing the spots. So that's where we are in our process here, in case got a little confused or me talking too much, which does happen. So anyways, I ended up having a bit of a seam, but by the end, when we put our decals and our flowers on there, I managed to completely camouflage that seam. So I was very pleased with that. So I had a little bit of paint that kind of got up underneath some of the spots. So I took a Q-tip. I mean, of course, it's a tiny Q-tip. They're Q-tips. Anyways, I took a small Q-tip, and I just used some acetone and just kind of just cleaned up just ever so slightly. There really wasn't that much, but I really wanted these spots to be very clear because I wasn't going to be doing any kind of outline or anything like that. So I wanted them to be, as pretty as possible. And also after this, I went through with some alcohol and I made sure that I cleaned it off as well, just to make sure we didn't have any of that paint still on there. You want to always make sure that you clean that paint up before you go into epoxy. If not, it will look blurry underneath that epoxy. So we need a white, really clear base to put our water slides on. I just went with water slides on this because it was going to be the easiest way to do it. And so I just put a layer of epoxy as soon as I got done with taking off all of the spots and revealing that peekaboo. I just put a coat of epoxy, let that cure, and then I went into our water slides. Okay, so now we go into our water slides. And like I said, I used the back side with that seam where it looked like everything was kind of cut. And I was going to strategically place all of these, or just a few water slides to kind of cover up that seam. And I think it came out perfectly fine that way. Now, I always try to cut off as much excess as I can for my water slides. You do need to cut some of it off anyway, because that like unseals it after you've sealed it. You have to cut them. But I don't know. I just like to cut a little bit of it off. I feel like sometimes you might be able to see some of the excess, and so I always try to make sure that I cut some of it off. But anyways, I just slid this right on, and I was trying to place it like right in a way that you could not see some of those lines of some of those spots. And like I said, I just slowly kind of figured out how I could cover up all of that seam, and it worked out really well. And I had a oopsie with the H there, but we got it back together and everything was fine. I have been using Hayes water slide, and I have not like it. It has given me some problems, and so I got some new stuff, and I'm going to link that down below. And I used it today, and I actually had pretty good success. But we'll see. Sometimes I don't know if it's the way I seal it or what it is, or if it's just the universe and me and Cricket and the way things are going for me. I don't know. These days I question everything, so who knows? Could just be full moon, bad juju. I don't know what it is, but anyways, so I just kept cutting, and I just got these flowers. I had these flowers from a Peekaboo that I had done a while back, and I thought, oh, those would be perfect. I can just print them out in black and put them on there, and it would add a little bit of softness to it, But I did it in the water slide so that it would just they would just kind of just be just floating on top there. And I think overall it was really the effect that it definitely needed. So by the time I got all of the flowers on there, I decided that I wanted to add a little, like a half of one. So I decided that I would cut this in half or cut a little piece of it off and use that for the top there. So then after a while, I don't even know how long, but it was a while, several hours probably, before I went into a coat of epoxy. And I just went into this coat, and then I did a very good sanded the rim, made sure everything was even and not wobbly or any kind of muffin tops or bubbly butts or anything like that, and made sure it set down really flat. And then I put my final coat of epoxy on there, and we were done. And there she is. I mean, this is a very impactful design, but yet so simple. It looks like a lot of detail and a lot of work went into this, but it's fairly simple. And using the water slides was so much easier than having to do any kind of vinyl cutting or anything like that. But that works because we used a light glitter, silver glitter, and that white paint. So anyways, I really like this. The image will be available, the saying will be available in my Facebook group. Please look at the link down below and join that group so that you can, get notifications of new things anytime. And then also, if you get inspired by this, please tag me at 321 Cup Designs, and just, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. Do all of those things, and I will see you next time.